All right, Michael, this is all well and good, but a lot of people, including journalists from the New York Times, the Washington Post, filmmaker Michael Moore, think that, at least in theory, communism is about helping people and treating people equally. That on the one hand, we have the Nazis, whom everybody in his right mind recognizes were evil and genocidal and hyper-nationalistic and focused maniacally on racialist theories, but communism wasn't that way at all, because they just want to bring prosperity and happiness to everyone equally.
The thing is, everything works in theory. That's what makes it a theory. What if I told you both of these groups were really bad, and it's perfectly okay to condemn them both? You could still say these are evil ideologies that can never be allowed to take root. So here's the issue. To say it works in theory, you have to make the argument that people like Castro, people like Maduro in Venezuela today, Stalin, they weren't really communists. They didn't really mean what they were doing. They always say real communism has never been tried. Well, let's take a look at what fake communism looked like. Stalin took many different ethnicities from their ancestral homelands, forcibly repopulated them, killing lots of people along the way. This was a mechanism of breaking their spirits and maintaining social control. Toward the end of his life, years after the Holocaust, right before he died, Stalin was ready to unleash another pogrom against the Jews, something that the communists had condemned the Tsar for. The body count under the Soviets was very long. Millions of people over many years. This was later acknowledged by the Soviet Union, and this is the case in country after country. Pol Pot in Cambodia, the killing fields. It took 4 years in the 1970s. This wasn't that long ago. Killed between a fifth and a quarter of the entire population, including anyone who had eyeglasses, because this was a symbol of being an intellectual, and he wanted people to be rural. The death tolls of these regimes are enormous. So if country after country under communist rule has literal genocide, what does real communism mean, if not that?
And I might add, you have a lot of young people who think they're being hip and edgy wearing Che Guevara shirts. And of course, he was Fidel Castro's right-hand man in Cuba. They think this is a symbol of liberation. And at the same time, they've got their pride flags, their rainbow flags. Some people say Che executed homosexuals.
No, Tom. That's not exactly right. You're just repeating ridiculous conservative propaganda. Che sent gay people to forced slave labor camps. When he was murdering people, including, inevitably, some gay people, he was murdering people equally.
Wow, what a relief that is to hear, Michael, that he was absolutely non-discriminatory when it came to executing people. But sending gay people to camps, the idea there was that if they did really burly, manly work, this might purge them of their bourgeois deviation, namely homosexuality.
Well, did it work?
Well, Michael, as it turns out, putting people in prison does not, after all, lead to decreased homosexuality.
That Che, who so many young people wear in their shirts, had racial views that weren't exactly those of the NAACP.
Che said, "The Negro is indolent and spends his money on frivolities and booze, whereas the European is forward-looking, organized, and intelligent." Ouch.